So there goes Norma. She's driving off to UVic. She goes 3 times a week to audit a graduate or maybe an undergraduate course in Spanish as an adult student. She's been learning Spanish now for about 3 years. She already writes it better than I do. She's got to the stage now when she's not correcting my Spanish, but she asks me questions that I can't answer. I have no knowledge of conjugating verbs. And she has great knowledge of conjugating verbs, but a much smaller vocabulary. She asked me yesterday what the Spanish for pajamas was. And I told her that is the Spanish for pajamas. And in fact, it is an Arabic word. Hello.
Hello.
I'm running in the road to get round a pedestrian with a dog. The options were either getting up too close behind the guy and spooking his dog, or running on wet grass with my dry shoes, or running on the road. I normally try and keep off the road, even though there are some runners that prefer the smoothness of the asphalt to the undulations of the cement. But basically, as a law-abiding citizen, I tend to stay as a pedestrian on the road. Off the road and on the sidewalk. I say that my shoes are currently dry, which is true, but where I'm heading, we don't use roads. Sounds like a Back to the Future kind of statement, but there might well be puddles, unavoidable wet shoe areas. It is Wednesday, so this is the Wednesday show. I'm running the standard saddle loop, and because Norma was my first acoustic anomaly, I started my recording a little bit earlier. I've been fascinated just recently by a certain podcast that I listen to that is probably the one podcast with the least amount of content, dialogue. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I think I hear the recycle truck. Should be coming up on 1 kilometer pretty soon. I think that I have one of my girls on the job. I'll check in a minute. Yep, it's both recycling and city collection. So these people are getting all 3 things going out at once. Grey garbage, green organic, and blue for recycle. And that's the color coding that we use here. And the grey garbage, unfortunately, gets buried. We still use landfill. In fact, one of my old running areas used to be the dump area of the Highlands. That was when I was a driver. The only downside of not being able to drive is not being able to transport myself to where I should run. I have to run from where I can either cycle to or run straight out of my front door. And the Highlands, it would be about maybe a 80-minute cycle. Alright, I'm running by the weir here. The weir that has featured recently in I think it was my last show. This is much like Nigel's canal run. For me, I think almost a third of all my podcasts I run and record here. I have to remember when I'm running with my Sony not to point it away from my face. Especially during a walk break, when I drop my fists down to my mid-thigh level, I would guess. It's probably doubling the distance from when I'm holding it in a comfortable running position halfway up my chest. Getting back to acoustics, my friend Sonitus, Sonitus, has 3 followers at the moment. And before his back catalogue gets too big, I highly recommend that you jump on board and listen to him. He is a self-confessed audiophile, even though it appears at times that he has completely lost his method. It still comes through. He uses his phone, and I believe he records in stereo. Not sure quite how he does that, but I'm sure there's an app for that. And the effect of binaural, which is what they call that kind of recording, binaural recordings, you have, hi, good dog, an incredible control over the soundscape that you're managing. I think I spent maybe 10, 15 minutes listening to no dialogue, nothing, comparing the numbers of words spoken in the average podcast. I think I must be up in the top 10 for wordiness. I've learnt a lot from listening to people, and I've enjoyed a lot of just hearing them without them speaking. And the binaural effect, if you wear earbuds, is quite incredible. You can actually hear his left foot and then his right foot, and you can tell where he's looking when he breathes. Quite incredible, actually. Oh, Sanage is doing some repairs. Now this is where I would normally drop my fist down. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Is this a new sign?
Yeah, it's just about trying to just keep people out of the native area, just so that we can kind of restore it a little bit better, because people just kind of walk over this and
Yeah, well,
try
it's
and
so
get down
scenic
there.
now that all the maple leaf has fallen.
Yeah,
There's so much more visibility in there, so people are
Exactly.
exploring.
yeah, exactly. And so I put a few up further down too, where there's kind of
Yeah.
trails that people have made down to the water, and we're kind of trying to keep people just away from that area in general.
But you don't actually have a nice running loop, which is good for you, but
Yeah.
I prefer the lower trails on Mount Doug, because once you get in there, it's bushwhacking. You're not running anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, if we were to make them official trails, then it would just create more people down there, and it would kind of disturb the fish and,
Yeah.
all that. And so we're just trying to...
Talking of the fish, hi. Every now and then when there's a large storm surge, it comes whooshing down, and the weir stops a lot of the scum from going into the creek directly.
Right.
But when
Yes.
there's a big runoff,
I've seen it.
it just comes over the top.
I know, and it's like... The problem is that we need more rain gardens and stuff, right? The things that catch the water
To stop it all coming down at once.
Exactly, yeah, to stop that surge, because that is an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
For
one,
sure.
one temporary solution might be to have a level, and when it reaches a certain level against the weir, it pumps the surface.
That would be ideal, for sure. And I think that the ecologist
That's just a mechanical solution to an environmental problem.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And
But it's
the
better than
environmentalist
having
had
all your good
mentioned-
work here spoiled by once every month you get a complete flushing of the system.
I know, hey? It's frustrating. And we've got an ecologist that Sanage works with, and he suggested to council to put a whole new pipe in, putting all of the street water down to the ocean through a separate
All the
pipe.
storm drains.
Yeah, instead of having any of it go into the creek, but that's a huge infrastructure cost and everything, and so I don't know if council will go for that one. But
Anyway, I better get
thought
back
it was
to
a good
my
idea
run.
at any rate.
It's nice to talk to you because I do put a lot of thought into this. I'm always imagining what the scenario is, and why are they down there, and why are they
Right.
moving rocks, and why are they moving trees.
Yeah.
Because now I know it's the whole what's it called now, catchment area
Yeah.
of Douglas Creek is pretty much where I spend 90% of my active time.
Right. Yeah,
Either
I've seen
here,
you running around the area, just driving around
Lochside.
looking, yeah.
That's where I do all my running, and everything seems to funnel in to the ocean round about here.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's funny to hear them talk about how they used to do it, 50 years ago, and how it was all about clearing out all the debris and making the creek flow as freely as
Yeah,
possible.
now it's the
And-
opposite.
yeah, exactly. Now
Yeah,
we're
they
laying
wanna slow
logs
it down.
across and putting a big tree trunks in and stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, nice seeing you. Hello. Hi there. Thank you. Well, it's a beautiful day today already. And I do believe I'm still recording live. Hello. Good dogs. Good dogs.
Stay.
Well done. Oh, that's interesting. They're two young German shepherds. Two people who were obviously here training those two dogs. They had a little routine where they seemed to be tapping their chest to get the attention of the dog, and then holding an index finger up and saying, stay, stay. So I figured I would encourage the learning process. I hate to say it, but today is going too well so far, which for an eternal optimist is quite a revelation. There is some pessimism in my life, but very, very little. Let me check on if I'm tracking my progress. Hang on a second. I'm going to have to put the recorder down for this. And there's the kids in the school playground in the woods. Oh, I'm going to have to take my gloves off now for good. I don't really need them today. Now there's an interesting photograph. Let me just immortalize this moment. Got it. And the kids. They know me by now. They know I'm not a stalker, even though I'm behaving very suspiciously. Yep, it's tracking, but it's just not announcing, which is weird. It doesn't really matter. It's got exactly where I am, which is all that matters. 2.5 kilometers from home. Yes, well, for those who don't see the picture, there's a little Mickey of vodka floating in a tree stump full of rainwater right next to the park where the kids play. I'm sure they don't share the park at the same time. Hello. Can I come through?
Sure can.
Thank you. Oh, hello, children.
Share the path, everybody. Share the path.
I see these kids quite often, actually. When you walk back to Gordon Head, right?
Oh, yes.
There's a few of you who walk together.
Yes.
I might be seeing you later on. I'll be at Gordon Head in about 40 minutes.
Have a good run. Nice day for us.
Bye-bye. Well, I had to stop for them today. They were very active. When it's colder, they tend to huddle up on the log together. Yeah, well, today's pace, I will not be recording. I'll have a rough idea of my pace because I will have moving time on my recording. Hello. We're running about the same speed, unfortunately, so there's going to be...
We're chatting more.
So that's good. Enjoy your run.
So, bottom line is the Russian jet reserve for shared space.
There you can see what I mean. We can hear them talk quite clearly. The chances of them following me all the way is slim to none. But pretty soon the hill will break me into a hike. There has been some discussion recently about whether the jackal in fact takes walk breaks when he runs, and it is all based on terrain. Here I go again. This time I remembered not to turn the mic away. Soon I'll be losing the cars as well. So Sonitas, check him out on Spreaker. This is a bit steep, but I'm still trying to maintain some distance. Yep, this is where that exposed PVC pipe lies across a steep decline. And I'm running again. Hear that bird? As for the other two, the younger runners, they seem to have either dropped off the pace as I look back. Nope, they're not there anymore. They probably branched off on their run. There are many, many options here. I don't think I could have pulled away from them that much. They must have gone up at the PVC pipe junction, up towards Merryman. I did that one as an up and a down last week, or was it the week before? Yeah, hike breaks is what I used to term them as, but maybe I'll just call them walk breaks. But they're strategic. That is the comment that I made. It's a strategy to defend my heart from overexertion. Not that I have a heart condition, but I'm just trying to prevent getting one. Because I'm pretty sure there is now evidence that the go hard or go home camp is not the best strategy for longevity in this business of running for fun. That is another reason why I don't race anymore. Today we're going to go through the swampy area. I've taken you over the fake bridges enough recently. This way I'm still further into the silent zone. Yep, getting back to the pleasures of acoustics. I noticed with Steve's hailstones earlier shows that he didn't seem... Sorry about that. I just dragged the Sony through a bush, forcibly creating a lot of overload. Yep, Steve runs the Spreaker app on his phone, and I guess when he's wearing gloves or when he's wearing a sort of wind sock on his phone, he doesn't want to have to keep activating the pause. So his recordings are always bare bones, but very enjoyable. And don't get me wrong, Steve, when you do speak, I enjoy it as well. But he kind of consciously or maybe unconsciously maybe listen to all the acoustics to try and visualize. I know Norman has pointed this out to me before, that he can imagine the trails and what I'm seeing from the lots of running tackle videos that he's seen. So they all come back to mind. I'm the same way. I'm a very visual person. I like to imagine what I'm listening to and where the person is. Like the other day I was editing some of Derek's audio from his cruise ship, and I was trying to imagine what the deck would look like and all the people bustling around in their uniforms. I know they do go overboard, excuse the pun, on hospitality services on cruise ships. You get way more attention, I would imagine, on a cruise ship than you would in a hotel lobby. Because I guess in a hotel, people tend to walk straight out of the lobby, never see it again until they come back. But a cruise ship, the entire ship becomes the lobby. People aren't going to walk out unless they swim or unless they go to shore. Alright, This is the barbed wire zone. I'm really quite hot here. I decided to keep my hoodie, my famous heavy duty black hoodie, on, even though it's probably around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, which means that a warm front has blown in from the Pacific. It is yet to be seen how much rain we're going to get in the next few days. It started last night. But this trail used to be way muddier. It looks like it is becoming more popular, and people tend to maintain the trail so they don't have to step through mud to go on their favorite hike. It's purely unofficial. So today has been a good day for community awareness and acknowledgement. The nice thing about being recognized is that that young girl, she had more time to speak to me because she knew I had credibility. She had seen me many times running and hiking the neighborhood. Now I'm getting into that area that I call Whitaker Creek in the winter, getting closer and closer to Whitaker Creek Junction. My app will give me a rough estimation of my moving time, and sometimes it's very close to my run keeper times. So there must be some kind of triggering mechanism that tells it when I'm not moving and when I am moving. I guess the running apps have possibly different calibrations to separate running from walking. I think it would probably be around 8 kilometers an hour. That would be considered running, whereas 9 or 10 kilometers an hour is definitely hard running, and 4 kilometers an hour would be 15-minute kilometers, which is pretty slow. That is almost slow walk pace. Now there's a little cut-through trail pretty soon, which I have to look out for. It looks different this year, well, this time of the year, because of the different foliage cover. Yep, up till today I would have had my arm straight down, pointing at the dirt, which would take the microphone a good distance away from my mouth. But I am more conscious of that today. I could always straighten my arm up if I'm not talking. Yep, this is the trail that will take me up to Upper Whittaker, and the shortcut, well, not a shortcut, but the trail connection is just up on the left here. Yep, it definitely looks different today. It should be just around here. Yep, here it is. Yep, normally I'm bushwhacking through here. Today I can walk without touching the sides. So I'm not sure what title picture I will use. I think I probably will post the Vodka Mickey picture somewhere on the interweb, but I will save something a little more aesthetically pleasing for the cover picture. This is the baby elephant. Oh, it's got a notch in his back leg that I hadn't noticed before. That might well be accidental. Or it might be that I just hadn't noticed it before. I'm always looking at the other parts of the elephant. Now, this is the wet rocks that I have to negotiate every time I come this way. I'd rather stay vertical. Thank you very much. And then I get to the saddle. And then from there it's pretty much downhill. I will stop the recording when I hit the glory zone on Glendenning. I think that will be long enough. Because as yet I have not pressed stop. Yeah, Steve used to allow 3 or 4 cars to go by mid-sentence. For me and Jim, it's more to do with when we catch our breath. That's when we have the option to pause. So there are times when we are not talking continuously, but it's almost like a challenge. Once you commit yourself to continuous takes, you have to be a little more aware of the breaks in data. But running being such a noisy and dynamic thing, I don't think we have to worry about dead air. That is not what I'm talking about. Nobody, unless they're meditating, would appreciate dead air. Alright, so Whittaker Creek Trail is still dry. It's quite steep, so the water might well have percolated beneath the surface of small rocks. Yep. I think today has to be the Watershed Day. That has to be the name. The Wednesday Watershed. Couple of runners coming down. Hello.
Morning.
Have a good run.
Thanks.
Stay vertical.
Yeah. Fun.
They have brand new shoes. They probably are coming here as a result of a connection in a running store. That's what I like about Victoria. You buy a pair of shoes, and before you know it, you're running with somebody to try them out. I think that's how Mike Szymanski became famous. Almost all of his clients who buy shoes from him run with him. Okay, so to the right is Little Mount Doug, and to the left is the saddle. Last little bit of hiking for me now. I'm within 10 minutes of shutting this down for Wednesday. What is it, the 2nd or the 3rd? The 2nd of December. We're in the festive month of December. I first celebrate Christmas and New Year and Hanukkah all year round. Just going through the jaws of the saddle and heading down towards the cave. And then the glory zone. I do hope you continue to listen to my shows and all the other good stuff out there. I'm not trying to sell you anything. That I guarantee. Oh, that's not true. I may be trying to sell you some of Ron Muir's artwork, but that's about it. True disclosure, in true disclosure, as they say. But quite frankly, I don't think there'll be too much of a problem this year meeting the orders. I think Derek and I have that one in hand, so to speak. But basically, Ron is the cave. Ron was saying that he's not too worried about the money. He's more worried about, or more interested in just being better known for his art. I know in the place where he lives, the seniors' home that he lives in, they call him the artist, so there you go. Prince, formerly known as the artist, or the artist formerly known as Ron Muir. Talking of the Muirs, Derek had a little bit of an issue shortly after finishing recording his second submission to me. He had a Caesar, and I thought, well, so what? He's on a cruise ship. He's allowed to have a Caesar. And because that same episode, he'd mentioned that he'd had a couple of beers before he ran, but, you know, that's not a hanging offense. But later on, he emailed me to say that he'd had a seizure, because he mentioned something about He thought that running 2 half marathons in the heat of the Florida cruise was probably overstressing his system. And he did say something about not taking his meds, whatever that means. So he bit his tongue quite badly. All right, Glendenning, here I come. I'm running the saddle loop, and I'm almost certain that I have not deviated more than 1.5 feet from this route. Poor Derek. His friend didn't fare much better. He got to stay in his cabin for 2 days, fearing being too far away from his toilet. I think he must have got some kind of gastric thing that sometimes happens when there's a lot of people eating together. So Derek no longer washes dishes at Montana's restaurant. He's working for some sort of refrigeration company. He might well be going out on the van delivering refrigerators. That is something that a big guy, young guy like Derek could do. Mind you, he is worth a little bit more than just van helper. But I'll wait to speak to him and find out what exactly his new job entails. So without getting too wordy, and having cleared the last 2 porridge belches from my system, I will say goodbye.